It is my distinct honor to introduce you to a man who is younger than me, inspired me to get off the couch and do something. This senator stood on the floor for over 21 hours and only loosened his tie. Only loosened his tie a half an inch. At the end of that, he said, all 100 senators work for us. With that, will you help me welcome Senator Ted Cruz?
Run, buddy. Mark my words, my friend. You have a coalition like you don't even understand.
You better run. Thank you.
Julia, Michelle.
Come on in. Can you say hi to Mr.
Hi.
You want to give a high five?
Hi. Oh, give me five.
Yeah.
Excellent. Wow. God bless the great state of New Hampshire. Live free or die. That is exactly right. Listen, I am thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled that y'all would take time away from your families. Now I understood that the first invitation to come to this event was to Hillary Clinton. But apparently they couldn't get a foreign nation to foot the bill. By the way, I have to say we've seen some exciting news on the Democratic side of the aisle. Ready for Hillary has announced their director of email security. And it's good to see Lois Lerner has a new job. Listen, I am thrilled to be here with so many patriots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to speak about 5 minutes, and then I want to open it up to questions and have a conversation, because the whole point here is to talk about the issues that are weighing on your heart. But I want to just give you a word of encouragement first. Every one of us knows the threats facing this country are enormous. Look, I think there is an urgency to politics today that is unlike anything any of us have ever seen. It is now or never. I don't think we've reached the point of no return yet, but we're close. We are close. And I believe if we go 4 or 8 more years on this same path, we risk losing the greatest country in the history of the world. But the word of encouragement I want to give you is people are waking up. One of the great blessings of serving and representing the state of Texas in the Senate is I get to travel around the country. I get to see what's happening. What's happening here, I'm telling you, it is happening across the country. Millions of Americans are realizing this isn't working. The Obama economy is a disaster. Obamacare is a train wreck. And the Obama-Clinton foreign policy of leading from behind, the whole world's on fire. The world is on fire. Yes, your world is on fire. But you know what? Your mommy's here, and everyone's here to make sure that the world you grow up in is even better. Let me tell you, we know the path to turning this country around. It is getting back to the common sense values America was built on. It is getting back to free market principles, getting back to constitutional liberties. Look, I think the path is real simple. Number one, we need to bring back jobs and growth and opportunity. Now, how does that happen? Jobs don't come from Washington. Lord knows they don't come from Washington. They come from you. They come from men and women in the private sector. But government is very good at screwing it up. And we know historically the two levers that are most important that government has to facilitate small businesses creating jobs. And those are tax reform and regulatory reform. On tax reform, we need to dramatically simplify the IRS code, and ideally, we need to adopt a simple flat tax. So that every American can fill out his or her taxes on a postcard. And we need to abolish the IRS. There are 110,000 agents at the IRS. We need to put a padlock on that building and take every one of those 110,000 agents and put them on our southern border. Now look, I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but think about it for a minute. Imagine you had traveled thousands of miles in the blinding sun, you're dripping wet, you swim the Rio Grande, and the first thing you see is 110,000 IRS agents? You'd turn around and go home too. And then regulatory reform. We need to stop the out-of-control regulators who are descending like locusts on small businesses across this country. I was out in West Texas once and I said, you know, the difference is, unlike locusts, you can't use pesticide on the regulators. And this old farmer in the back looked at me and said, want to bet? And the most important regulatory reform is we need to repeal every word of Obamacare. We've got to get back to defending our constitutional liberties. We've never seen a federal government come after the Bill of Rights like this administration. We need to defend the First Amendment, our free speech, our religious liberty. We need to defend the Second Amendment. I'm pretty sure here in New Hampshire, you all define gun control like we do down in Texas. Gun control means hitting what you aim at.
We started in New Hampshire in the last election by taking over the legislature, the state of New Hampshire, when the Democrats.
You are exactly right, taking over the legislature, which y'all did here on the ground. And we need to restore America's leadership in the world. Just 2 weeks ago, we saw Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu come before a joint session of Congress, speaking with a clarity that I'll tell you the adjective that was most frequently applied was Churchillian. Speaking about the threat to Israel, to America, and the world that a nuclear Iran poses. And what do we see? We see the White House attacking and undermining our friends and allies while they coddle and appease our enemies. But here's the word of encouragement. Everywhere across this country, people are waking up and realizing we got to change course. And it will not come from Washington. If you're looking to Washington for hope, you will have nothing but despair and despondency. Trust me, I've been there and I've seen it firsthand. The only way we turn this country around is it comes from the American people. I am encouraged, I am hopeful, I am optimistic because of each and every one of you. Because of the passion each and every one of you has to have a better country for your kids and grandkids to rise up and say, look, we can change direction and sovereignty at the end of the day. Doesn't rest with a bunch of politicians. It is with we the people. I'm optimistic because of you. And if we're going to turn this country around, and I'm convinced we're going to, it is going to take each and every one of us standing up and going to our friends and neighbors and saying, let's take this country back. Let's get back to what has made America a beacon of hope and freedom for the world for centuries. From the beginning of this country, God's providential blessing has been on America. And I'll tell you, I'm convinced God is not done with America yet. And with that, I am happy to answer or dodge any question you like. Yes, ma'am.
GrokTV.